Hello, Dancing with the Stars fans. I'm Gold Derby editor Daniel Montgomery. I'm here with our contributor Jeffrey Kare. We are here to talk about, as we're speaking about this, it's Tuesday morning after the Dancing with the Stars season 24 premiere. They announced the cast about 3 weeks ago, so we've had a lot of time to figure out how everyone was going to do, and for every performer, it really comes down to the 1.5 to 2 minutes that they actually take the dance floor in the season premiere episode. So first things first, what were the biggest surprises for you? Because we all thought Simone Biles is going to be the front runner. You know, a lot of people thought, you know, it's really going to be about Simone and Heather Morse, who has previous dance experience, and she was on Glee. Normani Kordei, who's a member of Fifth Harmony, and also has musical and dance experience. Did anybody take you by surprise by underperforming or overperforming?
Well, overperforming to me was Rashad Jennings.
Yeah, NFL player Rashad Jennings, and NFL players do pretty well a lot of times, but you know, from player to player, it's hard to know which ones are going to excel and which ones aren't. So what did you like about that performance?
Well, I guess from that performance, I will say that of course, now NFL players can be natural entertainers, and Jennings proved just that. It was one of the most entertaining performances of the night, and I thought Jennings handled the choreography very well. He seemed to have learned a lot from Emma Slater.
Yeah, it was a really fun routine and technically proficient routine. I was kind of surprised early on in the night. There seemed to be a lot of underperforming. Nancy Kerrigan, who I thought did well, but I thought would have been a little better. They were a little rough around the edges there. Normani Kordei, I thought, did an excellent job opening the show, but I thought she was underscored. And it's because she opened the show, so they were kind of leaving room for what would come next. They had no idea what was going to happen. I feel like the judges, if they had it to do over again, they want those. Yeah, if she had performed like last instead of first, those scores would be vastly different. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember in conversation you guys had on Slugfest about last year's Oscars on the Best Song category, where a lot of us thought Lady Gaga was winning Best Original Song, but Sam Smith won, despite the fact that Lady Gaga gave the better performance on the telecast.
Yeah. So another question mark in these in this season premiere episode was Bonner Bolton. He's a model and a bull rider, so you know that's kind of how does that translate to the dance floor? I don't think it translated very well, at least not in his first routine. There were a lot of, it seemed awkward in a lot of places. He does have a lot of rhythm. He does have a lot of promise. That first routine really kind of seemed a bit messy to me. What did you think?
Well, I mean, I did quite like what I saw. I mean, I can probably understand how it wasn't perfect, but I did feel bad for him for the score he received.
Yeah, he did. He was scored fairly low. He got a 22. He's a fourth from the bottom of the leaderboard, just ahead of Charo, Mr. T, and Chris Kattan. And no offense to those three, that's not a great place to be.
He's also above Nick Viall.
No, he's under Nick Viall.
No, well, really, because in Cordell's coverage, Bonner is up ahead of Nick Viall.
Oh, well, in Cordell's, our writer Cordell Martin ranked them personally, but in terms of how they actually scored, the judges scored Bonner Bolton under Nick Viall. So that was that was disappointing for Bonner Bolton. Nick Viall, speaking of which, was fine. Another one that was rough around the edges, but I think in terms of how we've seen past Bachelor contestants do, I think he's going to be one to watch because it feels like he'll at least do better than any of the past Bachelors. He does have a sense of rhythm. He's in great shape. He does have the benefit of Peter Murgatroyd, who won the last time she was on the show in season 22 before she took last season off due to her pregnancy. Yeah. What did you think of Nick Viall?
Well, I did quite like what I saw. I mean, I agree with you. He does have potential. I mean, maybe his routine wasn't consistent to have him, seen as like a major player, at least not yet. I mean, we shall see how he does next week. But he at least got right. think probably a respectable score from the judges. 24 out of 40. I mean, may not be high, but it's probably good enough.
Yeah, middle of the pack. I think he'll stick around for at least a few weeks, and that'll give him time to polish up what needs polishing up. And at that point, if he manages to do that, I think he'll, we could see him top 6, top 5. If he manages to pull in the Bachelor fan base with him. So before we get to the closing performance of the night, Simone Biles, let's talk about the lowest scoring performance of the night, which was Chris Kattan, who I felt bad for. Even when the judges were trying to soften the blow, with their comments being very encouraging, he got a 5 and 3 4s. 4s, they reserve 4s, for. I mean, that's hard. It's like if you give them no other choice, you could be lying on the floor, still get a 5 sometimes. So the fact, that he got 4s was really, he really seemed disappointed by it. And unfortunately for him, I do think they were warranted. What did you think of Chris Kattan's performance?
Well, I thought he looked like he was having a good time on the dance floor. I mean, probably wasn't something to write home about, but I thought he looked like he was having a good time. But as you told me last night, it looks like he should savor his last dance next week.
Yeah, I really do hope he enjoys it too. Not just because it might be his last dance, but because after having so much fun, clearly giving the routine, you can kind of see him get deflated by the commentary and the scores, and so I kind of hope he's able to have fun and either go out on a high note, or surprisingly not go out at all and build and at least enjoy himself. I don't think anyone is going to be looking at him as a contender for the Mirrorball Trophy, but it might be fun to have him around for a couple of weeks if he's still enjoying himself, as the judges told him, said don't lose who you are, but maybe learn the steps a little better.
Well, yeah, and as Cordell mentions in his coverage, comedians rarely do well on this show, and Chris Kattan proved his theory correct.
Yeah, and so that brings us to well, actually, before Simone Biles, let's talk about Heather Morris a little bit, because she is the one who came in with a lot of dance experience. She performed on Glee. She was on So You Think You Can Dance. She was a backup dancer for Beyonce. She came into this with high expectations, maybe a target on her back because of all of that, which they addressed in her clip package a little bit. I thought she did a really good job. I thought she was underscored too a little bit, like straight 7s. But what did you think?
Well, it was still one of the higher scores of the night. She got 28 out of 40. Plus, and well, yeah. She, of course, speaking of PETA, she was working with her partner or fiance, or I don't know if they're married or not yet, but Maximum, of course, came back after PETA gave birth to their son. She really seems like someone we should be paying attention to this season, because, of course, the last time a Glee cast member was on Dancing with the Stars, Amber Riley ended up winning that season.
Yeah, and I think I've got her. When the season started, I had her in my number 2 spot, right behind Simone Biles. And the season premiere, even though she, Rashad Jennings scored higher than her, Rashad Jennings had the second highest score behind Simone Biles. I think I still have Heather Morris in my second place spot for predictions. What did you think of Simone Biles? Do you think she deserved to get the high score? I thought she was really terrific. I thought, I'm really excited to see more from her. I don't feel like she was holding back per se, but I feel like there's more there. Like, as she gets better at this choreography and all this sort of stuff, I feel like it's still untapped potential, even though she had the highest score of the night.
Well, yes. Yeah, she really delivered last night. They pretty much saved the best for last by having her be the final contestant of the night to go on. And yeah, never underestimate a gymnast when they're competing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what about your predictions as of now? Have they changed in terms of who's going to win the Mirrorball Trophy? Like, have you moved anyone up, anyone down? What is your top 5 right now?
Okay, let me take a look here. Okay, I currently have Simone at number 1 and Heather Morris at number 2. Nor, I mean Normani at number 3, Rashad at number 4, and I guess in 5th place I decided to put Nancy Kerrigan.
Yeah, that 5th spot is tricky. That top 4, I have the same exact top 4, and that wasn't difficult for me to decide after the season premiere. But that 5th spot, it seems like there are a lot of people who could come up in there. And I actually also have Nancy Kerrigan in that spot. I thought she was solid in her first routine. Could have been a little cleaner, a little awkward in spots, but she definitely has the athleticism. She has the grace. She has great posture and great elegant movements and positions on the dance floor. Her partner Artem Chigvintsev will undoubtedly be able to build on that after this week. So I have high hopes for her. What do you think about her for the rest of the season?
Well, yeah, I agree with you. I think she does have potential. I mean, we should see if she, how she improves within, the next week or so. I mean, given how many opportunities she ends up having left on the show, because, surprise eliminations happen all the time.
Yeah, and she doesn't. I don't think she's going to have the built-in fan base of someone like a Simone Biles or Normani Kordei or Heather Morris from her Glee days. All these performers who are coming in here with fans already ready to vote for them. She's going to need to convince people on the show that to keep her on. But I don't think she'll have a problem in the first few weeks. I think she'll be fairly safe. Her performances are probably going to put her in the upper middle level of the competition, if not even better. If she cleans up those rough edges and really starts to excel. So I think she'll be her scores will keep her safe for at least a few weeks. So she can build up that fan base. Anything you're specifically looking forward to next week?
I guess I'm excited to see what Normani, Heather, Rashad, and Simone have in store next week to see if they can keep up the momentum they already set themselves up for last night. Because I thought those 4 were definitely off to a strong start.
I agree. I'm looking forward to them. I'm especially looking forward to seeing where they put Normani Kordei next week. Do not send that woman out first. Put her in the back half of the show. Let her show some people up instead of having to having the judges have to figure out to save some scores for later contestants. They don't have to do that if she performs later, and she might be able to get those scores that I think she deserved for that first night. Well, thank you very much for sitting down with me and talking about the season premiere of Dancing with the Stars. I hope to see you again next week to talk about next week's episode.
I hope so too, Daniel.
All right. Thank you for watching, and we will see, and thank everyone who watched this, and we will see you next week.